know that you heard it. There we go. Hey, hey, hey. Happy Friday night. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. Seems like it's been a long time. It's been since last week when we were with Janine on Sunday. But for the last 2 weeks, I realized we have had guests who we have loved these last 2 weeks. But it does feel different. I feel like I haven't been alone down here for a really long time. Here we go. Happy Friday night, everybody. I'm just polishing my glasses to make sure that I can read tonight. I think I've got the right glasses here with me. Let me say hello to Bumbling Bee. I bet you are not bumbling at all. Great to see you. Oh, of course, Melissa. It's you, of course, Bee. I get it. You're using her connection. How cute. Haunts 1031. I remember you were here last week. Hello again in Las Vegas. Great to see you. Cheryl, great to see you. Hello from from the cold. Yeah, from the cold Capes, cold, windy. It has gotten cold again. I'm not going to complain because it is winter weather and all of that stuff. We're supposed to have a little bit of snow tomorrow, snow flurries. I'm still going to take off and do some driving around tomorrow. It doesn't seem very bad here. Hope I'm not wrong. So I put the snow tires on the car is for days like that when it's like, will it rain or will it snow? It depends on how low the temperature goes. It's been really chilly here. Mom, great to see you. And you say, brr. I was cold too. I just took off sweatshirt I had over my sweatshirt. It was a two sweatshirt job, and you might see it go back on because it's hard to tell how cold it's going to get. What happened? I don't know what happened. I felt like we were in spring weather for a second. Kirsten, great to see you. Thank you for your message as usual. Kirsten always leaves a message and says, "Remember to mention Patreon," and I always forget. And then she always says, "Because you're worth it." Now, what was that? Like, what was that the tagline to? Is it like L'Oreal or one of those? Because you're worth it. I love it when she says it. It makes me feel very special. And thank you for reminding me. So I will give a huge shout out to Patreon members. Thank you so much for your continued support and everything that we do together. And you will be getting another message over the weekend because um, in terms of updates, I'm getting it together. Did you see that I hung the show in Hartford? 40 pieces from the Rose Book. I'll tell you about that in a second. I hung those in Hartford on Monday. And I was back there today to host my group. I host my group every Friday, the Hands and Hearts Craft Group. Um, so yeah, it's been a busy week. It was great getting the show up. One of the things the show is going to. I guess I'm talking about this now. The show is going to promote the Rose book, which is called The Rose's Tale, which should be out in March. And gosh, I don't know off the top of my head, but there's over 80 roses. A lot of people worked on this book. Certainly, Barbara Cornish did a lot of roses, and so did Mandy Cornish, unrelated. Isn't that funny? They both did a lot of roses. I did a lot of roses, but there's a lot of people who have made a rose for this book, and they are all incredible and special. And when I started receiving them to put up in the Hartford show will be up for 3 months. And this is on our Facebook group too. That is at the Unitarian Society of Hartford at 50 Bloomfield Avenue. If you're planning to go to something other than the party, and the party is easy to remember, I planned it for Valentine's Day. So I hope that I will have a lot of Valentines this year. I just figured if other people are like me, I mean, we don't go out for Valentine's Day and New Year's Eve and stuff like that anymore. So I thought it's easy to remember, and it's at 3 in the afternoon, probably a couple of hours. So if you want to go out after, that's the perfect time. You still be early birds, right? So that's coming up on Valentine's Day in Hartford, Connecticut. If you'd like to see that, we have a lot of buddies coming, a lot of other hookers coming, besides people who are in the congregation and friends of mine who are local. Pierre Sylvain is planning to come. You know him from all of our rug hooking adventures. So hopefully lots of buddies come, people you recognize. It should be a great party. It doesn't cost anything. We always say whenever we do anything at the Unitarian Society, like donations are great, but there's no charge, right? It'll be just a fun party, 40 rugs to see. So this has been a big event this week. And the thing about it that has really been like a blessing and a weird curse was that the days leading up to it. So as soon as we came out of Christmas and New Year's, I was like the cat coming out of the litter box. I just scraped and I ran. And it was like crazy bonkers times because it got so busy so fast. I thought, oh my God, I've got to get the rug show up. And I had a lot of text ready for the rug book, but 80 chapters is a lot. There's more than 80 roses. So I realized just how much I hadn't finished or how much I hadn't proofed and all of that stuff that goes into it. So putting up this show on Monday forced me to do text for roses that I had not done the text for yet. Some of them, I would say a quarter of them, I had the text for. It was a lot more text to write in a short time. And thank you to my mom for proofing all that. She always proofs everything for me, and she's the best proofer. But it was good to get that done. I still have more to do, but it's not like overwhelming. You know, that feeling of drowning in the to-do list. It's not like that anymore. It's under control now. But there was a week and a half of pure panicked insanity trying to get the text ready for my eye just started twitching just thinking about it, trying to get the text up for that. But it is up. It is perfect. I love the way that I've displayed it. I did a quick speeded up video walking through. All the lights and everything weren't on, and I had a weird filter on. But I'll show you some better pictures soon, and hopefully anybody who's able to will come to the party. I know there will be other days when if people want to go see it and you aren't able to come during a party time, particularly if you are the party time, meaning the 14th, particularly if you are like a local guild or a further afield guild and you're thinking, no, a car full of us want to go, let me know. Just give me a little bit of warning. Like give me, I would say 3-4 days warning, and I will go and meet you there and we can walk through it together. I would be super happy to do that. But let me know or call Carolina at the main number at the Unitarian Society because we want to be sure that someone's there, right? She pops out and gets food. I don't live there. I live here. I am there a lot, though. So let me know if you plan to come, and it's not the opening night day because I can meet you. I just need a little bit of warning. So, whew, that's done. That was fun, and that's done. And so far, the feedback, I mean, it's just been in passing because I happened to be there today. There were some people who came in today who were planning, sadly, I think, a funeral service. But after they finished, they were walking through the exhibit, and they were smiling and pointing at the rugs, and I thought, little bit of brightness, right? Even when you're not in the mindset, you're in a much worse mindset. People were admiring the rugs and pointing them out and having conversations about them. And I thought, that's just what they're supposed to do, right? I'm very excited to have those up. And thank you to everybody who worked on this project. Thank you to everybody who sent a rug for this project. And I will communicate well, but it is possible and it is likely that we will have some other places back to back to show the rugs if you would like your rug to continue showing. And definitely let me know, and I will email you as well. If you'd rather I sent it back after the show, also fine. Also let me know if you want it sent back right away, if you want me to put a price tag on it. Because you're welcome to sell it or you're welcome to keep showing it. In fact, yesterday or the day before, one of the other ladies who's in a lot, she volunteers both at UU but also at Elizabeth Park, which is one of the most famous rose gardens in this country. It's in Hartford. It's not open at this time of year. It won't be open, I think, until April. And of course, the party's before then. But they heard about this, and they asked Evan about. She's the woman who is there with me, and she's in there a lot volunteering too. And so she talked to them about the exhibit, and they were super interested in the possibility of having some of the rugs or a talk or something over at Elizabeth Park, specifically the Pond House, which is like their restaurant and gallery that's in the middle of the park. It is a very famous rose garden. It has been there forever. And it's serious business over there with the roses. So they were very excited that there was a rose-themed event happening in the same city. And yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. They're coming over next week. So if they like it and they see the possibility of working together, it might be that I can bring the rugs over there or give a talk over there and just bring in some new people to our beloved craft, right? Have them see how it's done, see what the rugs look like, and even show them how it's done. That would be a really good opportunity to do some outreach to a completely different group of people who I haven't connected with yet. So fingers crossed on that. You never know what these things will lead to, right? Judy, great to see you in cold and wet southern Indiana. Oh, we're all getting a bit of dreary weather, aren't we? This doesn't seem fair on a Friday, but we'll see what happens. And happy Martin Luther King weekend, everybody. For us, it's a 3-day weekend. The kids have Monday off, so they've been doing a lot of themed stuff at school, which is wonderful. They had a half day today too. Maybe you are celebrating this weekend. Maybe you have a day off work. But it is always extra nice on a holiday weekend, no matter what the weather is. Kaz, great to see you. Happy cocktail time from snowy Wisconsin. It's snowy over there, so I'll stop complaining about the just cold. Diane, great to see you. Hello, it's great to see you too. I'm happy that you're there. Catherine, you too. Wow, it's Friday with my favorite people. I know it, right? How fun. We can all be together again. And Linda says, cheers, my dears. Cheers, my dears. Back to you in New Jersey. And Joyce. Oh, Joyce, great to see you. Happy cocktail night in Pennsylvania. Oh, Mimi, great to see you. Cheers, my dears, to you in Nebraska. It's great to see you. So, listen, we're going to be talking tonight about the new issue of Rug Cooking Magazine. It is a beauty. We'll talk about some of the features. I won't do a total spoiler alert. Maybe you've got yours already. I had mine a week ago, but of course we had the pleasure of having Melissa two Fridays ago, or a week ago Sunday. And the following Friday, Janine, because her book had just come out. So we had two buddies in a row. And I had to put this on hold. So maybe you've already looked at it. Let's look at it together in case you haven't. It's great to support the few magazines that we have in our field, right? Rug Cooking Magazine, AFA Magazine, and of course, Magpie Times Magazine. That's our magazine associated with Ribbon Candy Hooking and our brand. I do that with Judy Taylor. Sorry, Judy Phillips, Judy Taylor. Judy's like, what? What am I supposed to do? So, a reminder to you that with the spring issue coming up, we'd like to have stuff in the next couple of weeks for sure. But if you have some things to put into the gallery for spring, or you have anything with the theme of Tea Party, that would be fun. Anything spring would be very welcome for this issue. Try to get it in. If you're putting something in, let me know that it's coming in. But I think we can hold off for a week or two. I think that would be reasonable. Because we want a nice full issue, and I know there's a few people working on features. Hey, if you have a business or an idea for a feature, we still do not have for the spring issue a brick and mortar store. Is there a brick and mortar store near you that's a needlepoint? So I don't dare say rug cooking store, because that's like a unicorn these days. But maybe something that does other fibers, like a needlepoint store or a quilt store or something like that. Is there something like that near you? Or a cute little country store that has some bolts of fabric where you could go in there and take some nice photographs, turn it into a little feature article on a nice brick and mortar store, let other people know that it's there. I still need that. If anyone wants to do that, or you have an idea for another article you could write. I'm writing an article that I have not started yet. So if you're a pretty fast writer, you have time. If you need us to proof you afterward, we will check. You are super welcome to advertise your fiber related business or anything that you do that would make sense fitting into Magpie Times, which is a heavy emphasis on rug hooking, but fiber arts in general. If you have something to put in there and you would like to do, it's free advertising, right? Because we don't take any ads. If you would like to advertise something that you do or you sell that fits into that, then you are very welcome to put that in. It's not about me and Judy. It's about all of us, all of our businesses, and all of the things that we're trying to do and succeed at. So think about what you might contribute. Also, Patreon people, I will be coming to you this weekend because I have some more designs for the Spilling the Tea book. Lynn, if you're watching, I have got to send you an email. I feel like I might have got your pattern out, but I don't trust myself, so I need to check with you. I fell way behind over Christmas with doing that project. I have got, I think, almost all of them out. I have to check with Lynn, and I sent Barbara, if you're watching, I sent yours out. You have 3 of them. I have some more designs for the Spill in the Tea book. That is a celebration of the first 250 years of our life as a country. It is not a book about patriotism. It is not a book about rah, 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 USA, right? We're all feeling differently these days, that's for sure. It is a book about celebrating the first years of this country and it becoming its own country. So these are historic stories that are based around the 1770s and earlier, and the settlement and colonial period, in the Revolutionary period, right? That little window in there. So I do have some patterns that I need hooked. If you're interested, let me know. Patreon people, you'll see the blast automatically. And if you have an idea for something you'd like to put in the book, and you either want to draw your own design, as long as you're okay with sharing your pattern in the book, because I always like to put the patterns in the book too. If you're okay with sharing the pattern in the book and you have something that fits that time period, for a revolutionary book, right, that's not politically charged or going to upset anybody, I would love to have it. And if you're thinking, well, I don't have that and I'm not an artist, but I would love to do a design, maybe you even have an idea and you say, oh, I once heard this story. It's, it's set during the colonial period. I heard something about superstitions, or I heard something about um, women who were healers, or I heard something, a story or something that you've heard and you think, I would like to do a pattern on that subject, bounce it off me. Chances are I can draw it, turn it around, get it to you, and you can work on hooking it. I'd like for that book to come out at some point during the summer. So there are quite a few months left to work on this together. All right. So that's another thing that we are doing together. Gail, good morning in Australia. Great to see you. Happy coffee time to you. And DMSP, I made a mini 6 in Melissa tree this week out of fleece. I made a mini 6 tree this week, inspired by the video last week. Fun from Diane. Um, okay, a mini 6, like a 6 something that's like 6 inches. Interesting. Out of fleece scraps, fleece hooks great, right? Polar fleece hooks great. It hooks better than, for example, felt, right? We know that wool hooks great, but polar fleece hooks great. And if you are near a store, we don't have Joann's anymore, but we have like Michael's and some of the others. And our Michael's doesn't carry polar fleece, but I remember in the Joann's days that I could find it. It was very inexpensive and it hooks like a dream, doesn't it, Diane? Fleece hooks really, really well. So why not give that a shot, right? Because beautiful, vivid colors too. I'm going to very quickly show you a pattern that I've been working on in the last couple of days, and then we're going to crack open Rug Hooking Magazine, volume number 37, number 4, and this is volume 37, number 4. Okay, and this is January, February 2026. I'm going to show you what I'm working on, and I should have this finished maybe by the end of the weekend, but that includes Monday, right, because it's a holiday weekend. I haven't blocked it yet. I just peeled it off my frame. I have been, and I'm not going to get political, but I have been super depressed about the news, and just the unfriendly way that we apparently are regarding each other these days. It made me absolutely miserable, and it brought me back. It has kept me in a fairly miserable state of being. It brought me back to the days of children's TV and my all-time favorite, Mr. Rogers. So I'm working on a project of a red sweater, right? And I haven't put the little zipper in yet. I just started hooking this like a day ago, and it will say "Love your neighbors," and I haven't gotten that far yet. This is a great hit or miss piece, right? I'm doing it with, I won't have this as a kit because I don't even know what colors I'm using yet. I'm literally sitting with my rag bag and just taking out the brightest, most cheerful colors. I did hook in yarn the Love Your in a light pink yarn. And in the background, I have some mottled green, but you can see I'm mixing lots of greens in. And then I have a bunch of flowers drawn and feathers and leaves and things like that, just for color. So I'm going to get that text in. The background is going to be mottled green. Me too. Just love him forever. And I made the sweater that has, he had the zip up sweater, and he also had some beautiful cable sweaters that had a cable down the front, right? And they were buttons with a placket. Kirsten told me the other day that she knew a bit of trivia about Mr. Rogers, that his mother knit all his sweaters. I did not know that. But I remember him from my era of watching with the zip. So I'm not going to put a zip, but you could put a zip on it. I'll offer this in a couple of sizes and as a PDF download. So that'll be up later this weekend. And again, if you have a color for the background, whatever your color is, and again, I'm mixing greens. I'm mixing lots of different greens, as you can see. But the green against the red, because they're opposite colors, we know, hopefully it doesn't look Christmassy with all the other cheerful type colors. But when you use opposite on the color wheel colors, that it's very high impact, right? So the green against the red will be very strong, and I'm able to do lots of different shades of green because the red is so strong. You can see I've used several shades of red. These are, this is recycled material, sweaters and skirts, and it's not all the same red. I used a darker one for inside and a maroon color for outlining, and I'm going to outline this area too. That's the little zipper pull around the little pockets, right? The bottom, the little knitted bottom. So yeah, so that's coming along great. But if you wanted to do this yourself, right, I would say all you would need is to go to Savers or Goodwill or something, get one red sweater. The material I had was not one sweater worth. It was like a couple of small pieces. So I kind of pieced it together, and it has that striated look to it. But I kind of like that. If you wanted to just hook with a red sweater, cut it up with a pair of scissors, you're going to need one sweater, at least in this size. This size I think is 13 across, or maybe, maybe it's 15 across. I think it might be 15 across. Yeah, it's 15 across. Um, yeah, you would need one sweater, and then just your rag bag of all your other colors to fill into the background with flowers and swirls and things like that. You see where I'm going, how I drew just kind of random stuff. And yeah, and it was very nice. It's been very nice hooking with like a bulky yarn because it just comes out good. It just comes out nice and substantial. It has a lot of integrity when you're hooking words with these kinds of yarns. So Diane says, let me come back to you here. I've got it on my boobs. We don't need that, do we? Diane said, cotton fleece looks just like wool when it's hooked up. By the way, I've designed a Spilling the Tea original design called Dashing George, and hooked the raw wool white color parts. Diane, I can't wait to see it. That sounds amazing. And I love the title of it too. I have one of him as a boy. It's a takeoff. Jessica Troyer is doing this one. It's a takeoff on the cherry tree, but it's the Magdalena tree, right? I love to play with the Magdalena tree. So I could use an older George for sure. I bet that is beautiful. I can't wait to see it. That's going to be a great contribution. Thank you so much. Kelly, happy cocktail night. Was so happy to join you on Patreon. Oh, thank you. I'll look here for the patriotic patterns. Is that right? I'll post things on Patreon first because the Spill in the Tea book isn't going to be one of our Halloween books or like the Rose book where there's 80 plus patterns. There's probably going to be 20 or maybe 30 patterns in it because there's going to be a lot of text too. So there's less patterns, so there's fewer available. But if I know that you're keen, I will send you some choices. I always put them on Patreon first as one way that I can thank Patreon supporters and say, here, take a look first at these. Thank you for your support. Take a look first and see if there's anything you want to do so we can settle it there. And then I always shout out if there's other ones because there's more than I can do. There's quite a few that I do want to do, but there's lots of others. And I think they're all, if I do say so myself, I think they're all beauties. And they're all great vehicles for beautiful storytelling about that time in our history. So I'm very excited about this project, and it has to come out this year. I'd like it if it came out over the summer, even if it's toward the end of the summer, because it is celebrating 1776. So we do want it to come out in 2026. And that's another reason why I'm not putting a ton of patterns in it. But yes, I would love to get some help with that. I have to learn how to dye wool before I can continue. LOL, my laptop still isn't working. Oh, well, let me know if I can help with anything. I do have like dozens of videos on dyeing on the Ribbon Candy Hooking channel. Some of them are short, some of them are longer, but they will all help you with different parts of dyeing. Um, Great. Thank you so much. And you could always write me anytime about Magpie Times or Spill in the Tea. Rose Book is closed. But of course, we are working on a lot of other books. I don't want to overwhelm you all at once. But if you follow the show and you watch and you follow our Facebook group, which is Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club, you know there's a lot of projects that are happening now. We need to launch also the next sort of challenge, which will be the sandwich bag challenge, where we are swapping a sandwich, like a Ziploc sandwich bag of supplies, whether you just use wool or yarn or whatever, or whether you put in a bunch of non-traditional material. Nobody knows what they get. I need to settle in my head the pattern. I know we brainstormed this and we came up with like a landscape. So I want to be sure that I offer maybe more than one sort of free pattern so that people can use their materials, or at least their sandwich bag exchange materials, along with the stuff you already have in your stash, and complete them. Or you could do your own thing. But I always like to put up at least one or two free patterns. I never like two. I like one or three. But to see how you can hook those patterns with your traded supplies. So be looking for that because that's coming up next too, right? That exchange. So we'll work all that out. And here we are on Friday night. I was so happy to receive the newest copy of Rug Hooking Magazine. I love being a partner with them. They are a big deal. They've been doing this for a long time. Remember, before they were Rug Hooking Magazine, they were, come on, what was it? I have every issue. Um, Somebody's going to tell me. It was first like a little periodical in black and white, and then it was a cute, oh, I just saw it in my head and I lost it again. Cute color magazine, and then it was suddenly Rug Hooking Magazine. It transitioned, totally different name originally. This can be the trivia question of the night. Somebody's going to get it. Um, but they've been there for years, whacking away. And I'll tell you, I just was going back and forth with Erin over some other stuff tonight and last night. Um, she's one of the staff at Ampre. Erin, Caitlin, all of the people who are working over there have been such a, and Caitlin is she's not new anymore, but she is the most recent editor. They all do such a good job, and they're so easy to work with. And I've had a lot of conference calls with this team. They are a great group of people who always want feedback, and I think are doing a great job. Now, this is tough times, right? This is tough times. No matter who tells you what, these are not easy times. Money is not good right now, and I get it. But they are still holding on to the 80 pages, right? So it has been 80 pages for a while. Some people remarked that it got smaller over the years. Well, that can happen, and that is a symptom of um, society, right? How many people out there are rug hookers? How many people are supporting the magazine by buying the magazine, right? How many people are invested in it, helping to support it through advertising, things like that, right? It comes down to lots of things. Unfortunately, when the economy is not doing fantastically, understatement, the first thing that typically goes historically is hobbies, right? People say, don't have time for that anymore. I'd rather eat, than hook. So all of these things affect Rug Hooking Magazine. I'm sure Atha Magazine, certainly Magpie Magazine. We have managed to bypass that particular problem because we don't accept advertising of any sort, unless you do an article and you advertise yourself in the article. That's a fair exchange, but we don't suffer that because we don't do that route. I think that Rug Hooking Magazine has been doing a noble job with, I like to think there's more and more rug hookers appearing, and according to our Facebook page and the YouTube channel, there are, but there's still not nearly as many. We're still about 22 to 24 to quilters to one rug hooker, right? So yeah, it's hard, but they are doing a beautiful job, and they continue to put out a very nice quality magazine, thick covers, right? Thick covers, because for a while, one of the things we heard was the covers are like cheap. Covers are great, right? I could give myself a paper cut in 100 different ways tonight just by holding this thing. It's a beautiful looking magazine, and I'll tell you the content in this issue is beautiful. I was really happy to flip through this. Goretti, great to see you. Oh, my design is a takeoff mixture of Grant Wood's Pastor. I love that piece. Jacobean Tree of Life, love, and Penn Dutch Furniture. I can see all of those things going together because they're all different forms of folk art. Horse and Rider. If nothing else, I'll submit it as a pattern for you. There's quillies on it. That sounds absolutely beautiful. And I know it's not too close to Grant Wood because that would be a killer, right? He's one of my favorite artists, and he's untouchable. Copyright-wise, he's untouchable. There's a few artists who, he's not one of them yet, but there's a few artists who could be out of copyright just because of the year of their death, and they're not because their estate has been maintained. Um, Grant Wood is solidly in copyright, but I know you mean in the style of, obviously, Pastor Weems. I'm going to pull that up right now. He's one of my favorite artists, and he always has been. Oh, you know what I forgot to tell you? Wait a minute, let me pull this up. I just want to look at it. I think I know what you mean, but I might be wrong. Grant Wood. I'm going to do another design. Like, I have two classes. Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yeah. Here, let me show you. Oh, Jiminy Cricket. If you love folk art and you don't know Grant Wood, rabbit hole for late tonight. After the show, you should make yourself a tea or a coffee or something, decaf. Make sure it's a decaf. And get into bed, open your phone or your tablet and start. Let me see if I can bring it into focus. Just Google Grant Wood. You will go down the craziest rabbit hole. Beautiful realism in folk. It ain't gonna do it, is it? That'll have to do a to be continued. It's not gonna play with me. Um, folk art compositions, but done in a very realistic style. Absolutely beautiful, almost like collages. And there's always, wish this would come into focus. There's always storytelling within the storytelling. Dang you, how does it know? How does it know? Anyway, Grant Wood, he's there for you. I'm going to put 2 classes up. I'm going to put up the multi-strand braiding class. I have to put it on the calendar. We'll set a date for that. And I have a kit to send you of vintage stretchy material. It is finite. So if you want to sign up for the class, I will send you, I forget how many yards it is, but it's a lot. It's a nice, it's the right size to make like a table topper or a chair thing, something like that, maybe a little bigger than a chair thing. That class will be coming up too. I will do that live with the video. You'll see my hands weaving. We will probably go up to 12 strands. If you're thinking, home alone, oh no. No, it's not hard. If you've done any weaving, you're going to be like, this is ridiculously easy. Or if you're a rug hooker and you've never weaved in your life, this is more like weaving than braiding, and there is no lacing. You make the rug and finish it as you go. So that'll be a fun thing for us to do together. And while the supplies last, because it's great to use stretchy material, and I already cut it into strips for you. And it's just like you get the colors that you get. It's super colorful, so it'll be a really blingy, bright piece. This is like vintage 60s, 70s stretch material that I have a huge supply of. I bought like a huge inventory. It's there until it's not. So that class is coming up. And I'm also going to do a design like Alexander Calder. And he was, yes, a sculptor, but if you remember back to a few years, he also designed hooked rugs. If you remember those shows, or you want to go back in Ribbon Candy Hooking and find those shows, somebody emailed me at one point, maybe 4 years ago, maybe 5, to say, I think I have an Alexander Calder rug. Can you help me figure out stuff about it? And we did some research together. If you remember those shows, it was very exciting. And I think it was an Alexander Calder rug, but I went way down that research rabbit hole to look at his hooked rugs, but also looking at his painting and sculpture in a design sense. So this will be a modern one, like a mid 20th century. And we are not doing anything to do with sculpture, but we are looking at mid-century shapes. We're also looking at people and the designs of his original hooked rugs. Those 2 classes are coming up. That will be a lot of fun for us. Regionalism rocks. All I did was steal his round tree idea. Absolutely. Round tree, not taken. That sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. Because in that painting, if you look it up later, Pastor Weems, right? There is a round tree that's kind of tipped over, like heavy with fruit, but there's another round tree in the background, and there's a couple of female figures at the round tree. It's like a little sub-story going on there. I love me a round tree. Yeah, that sounds perfect. So this issue of Rug Hooking Magazine sticks with the recent tradition of having specific sort of features, right? Ongoing features. We're gonna talk about what all of the main features are, and we're going to look at some of the content, but I'm not going to show you too much in case yours hasn't come yet. And I do want to encourage you to support Rug Hooking Magazine by subscribing, or at least picking off the issues that seem interesting to you. This is a really good issue. So let's talk about what is here. Again, if you're just joining us, this is Rug Hooking Magazine, January, February 2026. Amazing cover design, right? Absolutely amazing. We'll come to that in just a little while. So here is the table of contents. This is what you've got to look forward to. Sign of the times. And this one is about, it's the tag is the case for signing rugs. And that is by Norma Press and Catherine Hitchcock. So we'll look at that in just a minute. And you understand what that will be about. And you know it is important. I'm the last person who should say this out loud, because I don't think I've ever put a tag on any of my rugs, ever. But I need to, and I should, and I will. It is important. And they're going to tell us why in that article. Therapy Rugs by Remy Levesque. Well, no, by Margaret Patricia Eaton. Yeah, and I know that name, right? That's one of the great Canada rug hooking names. Rug hooking royalty, right? That Eaton name. And this is about Remy Levesque's journey to healing. We've seen some of his rugs in the past. We visited with him. You saw me visiting with him and chatting with him at Tigger in Niagara Falls last year. What a peach. What a sweetheart. He's just one of these people in the business that I just love him so much. He's so affectionate, so sweet, so smart, so kind. A nesting place, hooking a 3D hornet's nest by Anne Gwilym. Hooking personal symbols. The Rug Art of Theodore Sizer by Molly Warner. And I'll remind you when we get to that chapter, we've seen a lot of these rugs because the Theodore Sizer rugs are related to, in large part, Yale. And we are a Yale family. My husband works for Yale. My sister works for Yale. And I went to Yale maybe 3+ years ago to look at these rugs. So we have a video of that as well, right? We have a recorded video I did of the tons of photographs I took of these rugs. Molly Warner spoke at Sauder a few years ago, right, about the Sizer rugs as well. So it might be that this is a familiar name to you, but maybe you haven't encountered these rugs yet, and this is a big part of our rug hooking history. Book excerpt, Hooking Minis, Tiny Projects on the Go by Molly Colgrove, sorry. And we've reviewed one of her books in the last couple of years too, and it was absolutely stunning and memorable. Molly Colgrove. Punch It Up, A Scrappy Tote. So that's a project article by Una Walker. Same but Different, Jeweled Snowflakes by Lisanne Miller. That is a beautiful one as well. First Rug on the Last Page, He Loves Me by Umzi Collins, one of our favorite buddies. So lots of great features coming up in this magazine. Let's dig in. I'm going to show you the first article. I'm going to show you it on slides too, but it looks like this from a distance. And the reason I'm showing it to you like this is because I want you to know how well illustrated it is. This article is 2, 4, 6, 8 pages. Nope, 10 pages. 11 pages. 12 if you count the end. I'll show you what I mean in just a second. So let's look a little bit at this article and let me show you hold on one second. I'm going to come over here. Yep. Let me show you. Oh, I forgot to put the ribbon candy on this slide. Sorry about that. Okay, here's the cover, right? So we've already done that. And this is one of the pieces from this article. The caption on this says, the weaver of this jacquard coverlet used a lion as his signature. It was woven by Harry Tyler for Teresa V. Parsons of Jefferson County, New York in 1838. Tyler was well known for his coverlets for weddings, birthdays, and other occasions. So, interesting. He's got her name woven in, as you can see, and her county, and his signature is the lion. So this article starts like this. I'll leave the slide up for just a second. It starts like this. And again, this is the sign of the times. The Case for Signing Rugs, text by Norma Press and Catherine Hitchcock, photography by Catherine Hitchcock and artists. Have you ever considered where your rugs or other handiwork might be in 50 years? The chances of your rugs being treasured by family members, owned by a collector, or even on display in a museum are often related to how you signed them. In this article, we will discuss how textiles have been signed historically. We'll look at labels on early coverlets, quilts, and rugs, although even older signed textiles, such as bed rugs and samplers, can be found. Then we'll examine the labels that some contemporary rug hookers are using. You will find ideas that will help to ensure that your beautiful work survives for many years to come. And then she transitions, I'm not going to read the whole article, but she transitions to the conversation on coverlets. And you are looking at a jacquard coverlet, right? So this was woven on a loom. Some of the oldest surviving signed textiles are coverlets, which are loom-woven bed covers. Cheryl Leonard Van Denberg, the curator of the Allen Coverlet Museum in Palmyra, New York, is very familiar with coverlets that have survived for almost 200 years, as the museum has more than 600 of them. Most hand-loomed coverlets in North America were woven in the first half of the 19th century. Those that have survived often are very beautiful, display extraordinary workmanship, and or were signed and dated by the weavers. Sometimes the weaver included extra information such as a location for an extra fee, which was about 25 cents. That was quite a lot. or the name of the recipient. So for a little bit extra, you could get your name, right? I don't want to show you everything, but you can see there's text in some of these other images where people paid extra to have their name, something personalized, making it very special. And then she transitions to conversation about quilts and how quilts were assigned, and she shows. Let me just read part of this too. I have not been to this Alling Coverlet Museum in Palmyra, New York, but it's one of the places I really, really, really want to go. I really want to go. The Allen Coverlet Museum also has a small collection of quilts. Individual quilts were sometimes signed on the back, either with embroidery, a pencil, or ink. Signatures might include the maker's name, date, and occasionally location. Many of the best quilts and coverlets survived because homemakers saved the best ones for company, Van Denberg says. It's wonderful to find an album quilt in which individual squares are signed on the front by their creators. Those are also known as autograph quilts. Album quilts and autograph quilts, the same. These quilts were often made on commemorative occasions or by church groups. I'll hold on that because there's lots more information about quilts, also hooked rugs. So she's showing you some examples in this chapter of autograph slash album rugs made by people like church groups or guilds or hooking bee friends, right, who just get together on a regular basis and they put all their squares together and they're signed or embroidered, done in ink, right? We see these. We see them on eBay. If you look, they're there. If you're thinking, I don't have these kinds of stores in my area, that's entirely likely, right? Because they aren't wildly rare, but they're you don't see them in every shop, do you? But you will see them online, right? They're common enough that you will see many of them online if you're interested in clocking it. And then she goes on to a conversation about hooked rugs and the way that hooked rugs are signed. So she talks a little bit about, and I'll show some examples here. Elizabeth Lefort, right? That famous Canadian rug hooker, right? The fastest rug hooker to date, who did a lot of portraiture of a lot of politicians, personalities, right? Members of the royal family. She actually signed her stuff right on her piece by hooking her name in, just like any other fine art, right? And then there's this kind of example where people hook it in a little bit of a different way. This is more of the fine art approach, right? Just very subtle. And this is like super folky, blasting it right in there with the rest of your piece. Why not, right? Why not hook it right in there with the rest of the piece? And then the idea of putting in a little label, a little printed label here that says, we see these for the back of the sweater, right, hooked by grandma or whatever, but you can of course get them printed now more than ever, right? And you don't pay 25 cents, I think, anymore for that, but it's not expensive to have stuff like that made, little labels and stuff like that. Of course, you could just get a piece of cotton tape. See, it's getting cold down here. You can just get a piece of the cotton tape that you would use to finish off the back of your rug. You could just fold that over and write on it with a Sharpie marker or something like that. Depends on how persnickety you are about the way that your signature looks. If you feel crazed, like like it has to be really formal and really perfect and you need a label, well, this chapter is going to help you out with that too. Kelly says, LOL, I label everything. Did you see I put the wrong name on my rose rug? No, I didn't see. I didn't notice. It's great that you do that. You're doing it the right way. I swear I will. As soon as I unpack this house from moving in August, right? As soon as, if you could see what I could see, I don't want to look over there. As soon as that's done, I'm going to start doing some serious things like shoring up parts of my life that are totally crazy, like not labeling my rugs, having things in crazy places, not being able to find anything, all of it. So the cover design that we saw, let me show you, well, I'll show you here, is by Tilly Willis, and it also has the year, 2005. She gave permission to members of Women Matters to create a rug out of her painting called Waiting. Funds were raised in support of Congolese women. So that's this cover image that you see on the cover of this issue, Tilly Willis, right? And it's beautiful that that was done for a cause as well. This is just an extraordinary piece, isn't it? But you see her signature right here, right? So I hardly ever clock it, but you do notice once you get looking, What is going on in this picture? Suzanne Conrad commemorated the sinking of Young Teaser, that's a boat, a privateer schooner that was blown up off Chester, Nova Scotia. Oh, I think I remember this story. 1813. I think I remember this story. But look what's going on here. It looks like there's a crazy figurehead here. Does that look like a crocodile, or am I losing it? And you see this is signed here. Can you see? And if you can't see, you can see a close-up of it here. But right in here is signed. So sometimes the signature is like a feature, right? Like blast it, right? It's a feature. It becomes part of the design. And sometimes it's very subtle, and sometimes it's abbreviated, or sometimes it's just a couple of initials. I have a lot of rugs that have just a couple of initials, and man, it's hard to figure out who they belong to, particularly if it's a commercial rug. And then, of course, there's known rugs like Grenfell rugs, whole categories of rugs. And we know that if we've talked a lot about Grenfell, and we always will, we know when we're looking for a Grenfell rug, we're looking for this label, and it has the red print on it. And if your rug has this label, you're good. If it doesn't, you can often tell if it's a Grenfell rug or not, right? Because not just because it's made of pantyhose, but because of the designs, the known designs, right, are like, a set number of designs. But yeah, some of these early Mission stuff. What's the one I always want to remember? Abenaki, right? The Abenaki ones had a label on them, and I don't think ever seen the label even online. And they also had a cut pile. So those two things alone. What a thing. I would love to find one of those in the wild. This is a beautiful example too, Past and Present by Alan Tibbetts. Whoa. This rug depicts the Moosehorn Creek covered bridge in Norton, New Brunswick, which was in service from 1915 to 2014. Oh, it's a beautiful little covered bridge. Let me show you this. I should have taken a picture of this for, let me see what the next picture is, just in case I did. Sometimes I took the pictures this morning, so you'd think I could remember. Nope, not yet. So let me show it to you here. This is Alan Tibbetts, and this is signed Norton, New Brunswick. Ooh, and there looks like there's a little jellyfish signature there. Interesting. And let's look at all the markings that he's made. And then it actually says 1915 Moosehorn Creek. And so this must be the little creek that the bridge spanned, little covered bridge. And also 2014. Let me try to get a good picture for you here. There we go. That looks sort of in focus. Is that in focus? You know me, my glasses maybe are not in focus. But you can see the signature at the top, or not. That's the place, Norton MB. But you see that little jellyfish thing over the tree with the little white snow on it? That might be like the signature. And then down here, the years of the name of the bridge. And in the middle, you notice how in the middle it's done in like sepia, like an old photograph, because the bridge isn't there anymore. Isn't that gorgeous? Alan Tibbetts. Does anybody know Alan Tibbetts? Wow. God, I love that piece. Gosh. My chair. No, my chair can't go down anymore. I feel very high up tonight. Anyway, this article shows you, and there's more pages. I don't want to show everything. Beautiful example by Jean Shepherd of his the bird Australian Keat. Carnival Paws, also by Jean Shepherd. They're showing stuff like this too. I'll just show you this quick. Something like this, right? I'll cite it in just a second, but just putting the text around the edge, just so you're set, right? Just so it's attributed. That was the back of Elephant Pieces you saw, the back of Going to Grapevine, also by Jean Shepherd. So just writing all of the info about the rug on the back on the tape, right? That'll do it too. I think I would be tempted to write it on the tape before. Maybe not. I don't think that it would seep through. There's no reason why it should. But, a little bit of crazy. So lots of examples in this first article about how one might mark their rug, right? How one might attribute the rug. So let me show you this piece now. Come back over here, because this is another good idea. Oops. Nope, don't delete. Right here. So this is, let me show you this first. This is the rug, right? This biggie right here, and I'll cite it in just a second, right? You see that big beauty right there? And that rug is by the 25th anniversary rug and its label. The rug was created by the Guild members to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the Guild's founding in, again, Palmyra, New York in 2019. It measures 20 by 52 inches. The Guild now has more than 100 members across the Finger Lakes and beyond. Michelle Palmer designed the rug and label, which was finished by Kathy Peters. Let me show you the label. The label is the black and white drawing of the rug that has been printed on cotton. Now, you know how you can get, depending on your printer, right? We just bought like a halfway decent printer. We always had my husband always buys like $25 printers, right? Which is one of the things that really gets me, because you know what happens every time you hit print, right? There's a jam, or it's out of ink, or it craps itself one way or the other. So we've graduated to like $100 printer, right? It's like, woo! But I think that I'm now able to put, I mean, I could buy one myself, of course. I don't go to Best Buy. I think we can put like one of those sheets, printable fabric sheets, through it. And if not mine, Jocelyn's. My daughter Jocelyn has an even better printer, of course. But I think this is a great idea, because you already have the sketch, right? If you've already transferred the pattern, you have the black and white sketch. You transfer it on there, and it just gives you a great crisp line drawing, and you're able to add all of that information, right? You can add it on the computer before you print it out. None of it's going to smudge, and then you just sew it on there. In this case, it looks like the edges have been sewn down with some kind of quilting stitch on a sewing machine, and then probably just basted on or something like that. But what a great idea, right? I also love the way that flag was done. I absolutely agree, Gail. It's like a banner, a waving, long, skinny banner up in the clouds. Diane says illustrators often call their little symbol a chop. Well, that's a great piece of trivia. I didn't know that. That little thing that looked like a jellyfish, first of all, might not be a jellyfish, but it's definitely a chop, I think, right? And Catherine says, honest, I'm outside weeding and listening to you, and I heard an ice cream truck going by. It is summer already. It is 83 here in Southern California today. Oh, that sounds fantastic. I mean, for me, it's a little bit early to be 83, but I know in California you're more used to it, and I'll tell you, I would take 83 tomorrow, right? I would take it at least for a little while. But that's wonderful. That's wonderful. It's nice to know the sounds that you're hearing too while you're out there weeding. That's a lot of fun. And Kaz says, I use Judy Taylor fabric sheets. June Taylor fabric sheets for an ink printer. Kaz, thank you. That's great information. This is an easy way to do this. And then you forever have, in case you lose the computer or whatever, the cloud goes, you don't have the drawing anymore. Well, if you have it printed out on the back of the rug, you will always have the drawing for this piece, and people can look at it in detail. What a great idea. Now, here's another great idea, because there's still more rugs in this chapter. There's so many ideas for signing your rugs in this chapter. This was done by Heather Ritchie. Of course, she died in 2022. She was a iconic rug hooker from Wreath, which is in Yorkshire, England. And she did like different kinds of labels, hand embroidered labels like this, and she hand embroidered her name on them too. Simple, charming, right? And yeah, so fitting with a hooked rug. Absolutely beautiful. A little bit of whimsy, little moment of whimsy. It's funny to look at this, because I'm thinking about all of the things that I see like at Goodwill and Savers. Like when you go into the craft section and you see like a folded up cross stitch, or counted cross stitch project, and sometimes they have such pretty wools with them that I buy them just to snag the wools, like the Persian wools. And sometimes they don't have anything with them and they're dead cheap. And I think, oh, what a pretty thing, but I'm never gonna do it, right? It would almost be worth getting some of those when you see them for like a couple of bucks here or there, because you could just kind of, with your DMC flosses and a needle, just doesn't have to be perfect, right? Just trace over part of the design and crop it into a little panel like this. This looks like a little bit of a crop. You could just crop part of it and then stitch your name in too. Done, right? It's attributed. You're done. How fun is that? There's so many things in this Okay, I'm going to hold on that for a second. There's so many things in this article that are great ideas. There's more great ideas. Those are not all of the great ideas. Sharon, great to see you. Is it freezing there and getting snow tomorrow? We might be getting snow too. I'm going to have to check the forecast again. I was going to take a drive tomorrow. Oh, see, it's like I'm in the habit of working 7 days a week again. And I said, well, last week we went to that Pokemon conference. We stayed over for one night. That was a long drive, but it was so worth it because Jocelyn was so happy. But I was thinking, let me take one day off this week and get out of the house. And it can't be Sunday because I always have church on Sunday. And it can't be Monday because we're having like friends over. And oh my God, I hope I can take off tomorrow. I hope there's no snow coming. There might be different snow for you because you're a little bit further away in New York, but yeah, it is cold. I know. Boo! So, more things to look at here. If you have this or if you're about to get it in the mail, you're going to see even more ideas for how to sign your rugs. So, they are forever safe and forever attributed. And at the end of this article, our buddy Robin Whitford has given you a label that you could copy, print out, right? You could maybe scan it and then put it through on the um, printer that Kaz just said with that paper, with that June Taylor paper. I was just distracted because there's a lot of stuff in here. So on her label, she's got title, hooked by, designed by, teacher class, date finished, materials used, made in, so the year, and inspiration. That's so funny. She's such a storytelling person. She's got a lot of detail in that one rug, right? I don't know that I never like to see teacher class. As a teacher, I don't like to see teacher class because I just feel like I'm not, I'm borderline on designed by too, I have to admit. I know that's an unpopular sentiment. I guess you need to have that there. But teacher class, I feel like, okay, teacher was standing over you, but you were the person who made it, your name. Materials used is a funny one too. That's an interesting one you never see on labels. And inspiration is one you never see on labels. That's very interesting, isn't it? Leave it to her to come up with some really fun things to add to your label. So the next article is The Therapy Rugs by Margaret Patricia Eaton and about Remy Levesque's journey to healing. And I'll just show you what this spread looks like from a distance, right? Because remember that Remy does a lot of stuff where he transfers onto fabric family photographs, and he incorporates that family storytelling in collage form into his hooked rugs, right? So we've seen some of his work and loved it. That is one of his sort of signature techniques. It's something that's there for everyone, right? So this article is let me see how many pages this is. Beautiful, beautiful stuff by Remy here. 2, 4, 6, 8 pages. Beautiful article. And let me start the article off for you so you have a good feel for what this was about. So, and some nice photographs of Remy as a very, very young boy. It was a great feeling to have launched the collection. And here he's talking about, this is a quote about the Barishaw Church in Nova Scotia, where all of the 50 states, right, and there's other sister projects now that are there, all of the cushions that are there. I have 3 cushions there. It was a great feeling to have launched the collection after 3 years of work on the project with over 1,000 people coming through to see it during the Acadian World Congress, said Remy. I was on top of the world because I knew how important this collection was, but the joy ended abruptly on his return at exactly 11:37 a.m. when I ended up on the asphalt. Remy has only hazy recollections of what happened next, but I was told that I actually died twice. Once at the accident site when the first responders brought me back, and again in the OR, but it wasn't my time to go. At the Moncton Hospital, he was diagnosed with a perforated lung, which required immediate surgery, more surgeries. His right arm was practically detached. This is not a good story. I have not heard this story. I had 10 broken ribs, 3 broken vertebrae. Holy mackerel, collarbone shattered. Oh my gosh. I knew from reading about him that he had referenced tragedy and trauma, but I did not know that it was an accident. That is really scary. Prayers to my angels. Oh, he leans into faith for one of the designs in here of an angel. Just absolutely beautiful. Oh, I'll read that later. That's going to be a rough one. But yeah, we know already the therapeutic qualities, the healing qualities of doing this beautiful and meditative craft. It's always great to have a reminder and to hear someone's personal story about something that they've been through, and hearing about how doing this craft helped them get away from themselves or away from the tragedy, or get space, or have the tragedy come into focus and get a shape, right? And maybe be less scary, more manageable, right? It takes time, and it takes therapy. And for me, this therapy is as good as anything I've ever gotten. Um, so beautiful article there from Rami. And then the next article is very different. It's called, oh, my back is killing me. It's called A Nesting Phase, Hooking a 3D Hornet's Nest. So you might be asking yourself, is this for me? I'm going to show you what the project looks like finished. I'm not going to show you the whole chapter, because she is showing you how to make it, and she's showing you what the pattern piece looks like. It is going to be a 3D hornet's nest. Text and photography by Anne Gwilliam. This is really creative, very different, very creative. You know, I know a lot of people are looking for three-dimensional things that they can hook, because a lot of people feel like they're done with rugs and wall hangings, and would like to do something different, or just dabble in something different. This is a good project if you like the way this looks. This is a great nature lovers project. First, I want to show you, sorry, these are out of order. Okay, so hang on just a minute. We know that is our buddy Yvonne. I'm going to just jump by. Wait a minute. So we're going to come back to Yvonne, but oh, these are all out of order. Okay, hang on. Wait a minute. Don't look. Close your eyes. Nope. Okay. Close your eyes again. Nope. Oh, wow. I'm not having much luck, am I? Hang on. Wonder how these got so out of order. Yes. Okay. This is what I wanted to show you. So there's other things in this article besides the 3D hornet's nest. This is stag beetle, 11 by 10. I'm sorry, 16 by 10. Wool, fabric, and yarn on burlap. Designed and hooked by Anne Gwilliam of Hayes, Virginia, 2022. Really beautiful, isn't it? I have to say, I love seeing images of bugs, not necessarily really gross ones, but guys like this going about their business, always interesting to me. I used to, when I was an art student, when I was 18, I used to draw bugs and beetles and things like that a lot, and this is still a really interesting subject for me. I don't mind insects. I have to say, I'm not a fan of hornets, and this stuff scares me. So when I see stuff like this, I think, oh my gosh, I see stuff like this hanging from trees and hanging in places, and I never like to see it hanging too close to me. It is a wonder, and it is a beautiful thing. I mean, it is one of Mother Nature's beautiful sculptures for sure. And if this design speaks to you, or you think, you know what, I'm a real naturalist. I love nature. I love having things around me that tell nature stories. This could be a great project for you, because the pattern is in here too. I'm not going to show you what it looks like, but the pattern is in here. And let me show you the finished one again. Here it is. So, so it is done with rug hooking, right? It is hooked. And this article that Anne writes really shows you how to make this happen and how to shape it so that it looks like this. I am so sorry I'm yawning. The reason I'm yawning is because I woke up at 4:30 and I could not go back to sleep. And you know what? Sometimes it happens. I wasn't even in a bad mood, but it's gonna cost me now, isn't it? So one of the things I love about this piece, I love the colors. I love that it refers to nature. It's very unusual. It's something to look up and see and go, oh, neat. I also love how it's been kind of strung on branches, right, or one branch that forks, because that's where you see them. She shows you how to seal it, how to finish it with an invisible line. It is an interesting article. It's a beautiful project. Yeah, and I know it's not for everybody, but it's very different, isn't it? A lot of fun, something to consider. Now that brings us to hang on, I am completely out of order, to our article from Molly Warner, hooking personal symbols. Because if you remember from our shows on Theodore Sizer, He used a lot of symbolism. I did at least 2 shows because I bought the book, um, and we looked at images from the book and we talked about his symbolism. Very heavy on symbolism. There's a lot of other interesting stuff here, like a Hirschfeld caricature, which I didn't know existed, of Theodore Sizer. This one is a self-portrait of Theodore Sizer. There's stuff in here that I haven't seen before. Really interesting. Photographs I haven't seen before either. So a little bit of a backstory on who Theodore Sizer is and the rugs. And really specifically, the symbolism, because they were loaded with symbols. Remember, he worked at Yale, right? And I'm sure he belonged to all of those fraternal clubs and cocktail clubs and all of that stuff. And his rugs were down in those public spaces. Not exactly public, right? They were only for certain people. But yeah, they were loaded with symbolism. And this is one of the things you can go back to the past ribbon candy hooking episodes on Theodore Sizer, and you'll be blown away by these beautiful rugs. But I put a few of the images from this article into tonight's show. This is one of them. So you can see this is rug number 86. That's usually how they are referred to by number. And they have been sort of correlated into the book that I bought. I got that online from one of those print-on-demand sites. It was an excellent investment, and I'm not sure if it was Molly who put it together or if it was a different family member, but it does go, chronologically by number, and the family did their best to put the rugs into chronological order, right? That would be hard to do years later, but this is his largest rug, and you can see on the bottom, you get a sense of the scale. You can also see with this rug, if you can look at it closely, like look at that box on the top, there's a lot of symbolism in this. There's quite a lot of symbolism in this. So this commemorates the 50th anniversary of Yale University Press. It contains the names and initials of those who had worked there for a quarter century or more. The address at 143 Elm Street. I am on that street a lot. The Yale shield with its Hebrew letters and the Latin motto Lux et Veritas, meaning light and truth. Its presentation was documented in the local newspaper, the New Haven Register, in January of 1958, and that's the photo on the bottom that you're seeing. So another beautiful article, and again, this one very specific. I have to say I cannot get enough of Theodore Sizer in my life, partly because of the local interest and because of the gift of having seen and handled these rugs and many of these rugs in person. Kanga, great to see you. I got frustrated with my wool cutter and switched to yarn. Easier to find more color variations for a beginner like me, mostly thrifted yarn. You know what? I think that's a great call. There's no reason to stay frustrated. And yarn, wool, pantyhose, whatever, it's going to come out great. Just a fleece, right? It's going to come out great. It's good to recognize when you're frustrated and to figure out how to fix it, right? How to back yourself up before you start breaking stuff or getting really upset or just give up on it. It's good to be able to back yourself up. And yeah, you don't have to use wool strips, right? I mean, most of Canada doesn't use wool strips, and England very rarely uses wool strips. It's just us Americans who are using wool strips. So you use whatever you want. Make sure that it's easy. Make sure that it's fun, right? Easy and fun. Those are the two things that you're striving for. And you can be your own critic if you want to later, but I hope that never happens. Just make sure in the meantime that it's easy and fun. Yeah, we all do this. And, it's funny that you say that because this Mr. Rogers sweater that I showed earlier, I started to hook the inside, the inner part, right, that's darker going down the zip with yarn. And it was that bulky yarn. I started to hook it with yarn. And I'd already hooked the sweater completely with wool strips, number 5s. And I filled in the whole thing, right? So it took a little bit of time. And when I stood back, I realized that in this case, it was the opposite. The yarn did not look right because it just formed, because it was such thick yarn, it formed such a rigid pattern. And the sweater didn't have the pattern. And it looked weird. And I had to say to myself, damn it, I thought this is the perfect color. I wish that this worked out. I've already hooked it. I wish I could leave it, but I knew that it didn't work. And I had to pull it out and look for, and then see, this is the thing. I had to pull it out, number 1, offense. I had to stand up, number 2, get it off the couch. And number 3, I had to come down the stairs into my area to look for a different shade of red. So sometimes those things are enough to make me just leave. I mean, I'm a very busy person, but once I'm sitting down hooking, I'm a very lazy person. But I did the right thing in the end, and it is the right thing because it looks way better. So you have to make those decisions as you go along. You know what's triggering you. Don't. There's plenty of triggers, right? We all have enough problems these days. No reason to get triggered while you're doing your crafting. Oh, I'm just reading the response. Makes sense, Kanga. I'm trying a quarter inch wool strips for my current George rug, but I want to try bulky yarn to make the clouds out of knotting 1700 style. Ooh, experimenting. Oh, so is that, were you saying you wanted to do dyeing? Were you wanting to do dyeing for that? Am I crossing wires? Did someone else say they wanted to do the dyeing? Let me know because I have a lot of bulky yarn. And I'd be happy to send you some if you need some for the clouds. I'd be happy to do that. So, okay, definitely let me know. So this piece is number 36. He made this in 1952, Theodore Sizer, for his grandson, also Theodore Ted. I'm very fond of that name. You know, my son's named Teddy too. Ted Sizer Cochran's 12th birthday. It contains more symbols than any other rug. Included are 2 elements of the Seal of Maryland. Okay, I can identify those. And the blue and yellow Cochrane insignia, so that's a family, that's the blue with the circle, right? And a running clock to represent, wait a minute, no, now I'm confused. Maybe the insignia, oh, a running cock, not clock. Okay, there we go. To represent the surname Cochrane, made of letters, Teddy's birth date, and oh, yeah, the T up on top. Made of letters, Teddy's birthday, and oh no, the part that they're talking about now, made up of all the letters and stuff, and the cat. Yes, and the cat is the drawing on the bottom right inside, not the cat itself, but the purple line drawing is made up of symbols and letters, right? C, looks like COC, and then there's a cat face in the pelvis, right? So tons of symbolism in there. This rug that you're looking at was meant to be viewed from all angles. So as you can imagine, well, let's do it right now because we can. Oh, thanks for asking, Gail. I'm actually gonna come to you to answer that. I'm just gonna turn this. Let me just turn it to the right. See if you can see anything different. And uh-oh, I lost it. No, I didn't. And let's turn it one more time. Where am I? Who am I? Transform. Yeah. Yeah, you can see that you do see different things when you turn it. Isn't that interesting? Gail, thank you for asking. Teddy is doing so well. He's such a good boy. Something secret happened at school this week. And he wasn't devastated, but I could just tell when I picked him up at school that something was up. I feel like my son Teddy, most of you know, is autistic. But he's in the general classrooms now. He's beyond like the really difficult whatevers, and you can just tell with kids when you're close to them. Like it seemed like I was getting the impression that there was an embarrassment of some sort, and I thought, what could it be? And then I thought, since he doesn't want to tell me because he knows sometimes I overreact, since he doesn't want to tell me, I'm just thinking, God, it could be anything. I mean, you remember school, right? You remember school. I remember peeing in my pants in the 3rd grade because Mrs. Fox wouldn't raise my hand for about 20 minutes. She wouldn't let me go and ended up peeing right under my chair, just, yeah. And then that stayed with me for, honestly, 15 years. I mean, there's gym class, right? Gym class. Just anything when you're that age could cause embarrassment. I'm never going to be able to guess, and he's not going to tell me. He seemed a bit more cheerful today because it was a half day and it's a 3-day weekend. So 3-day weekend stretches out for eternity. He feels like, yeah, it's like this weekend is going to last forever, and I hope it feels like it does. Thank you for asking. And Jossie's doing really good this week too. She started, remember her genius classes? They said she was like a genius, like Mensa. She can join Mensa if she wants to, and all of this, which, we've met her. We know how naughty she is sometimes. But her IQ is very, very high. And she started doing that special thing at school where she gets to get out of class twice a week to go and be with these other kids. And I assumed, don't make assumptions, right? But I assumed that it was like a social thing because these kids, there's just a handful of them who are really like super intelligent. And I thought maybe, I thought this is an occasion for them to connect with each other and just have different kinds of conversations. She only has gone once so far because today was a half day and she would have gone today, but because of the half day she didn't. They just go into a different room and work on writing projects, writing about what the world will be like in 20 years. Her big trigger thing is writing, right? Not so much reading as writing. Give her science and math. Give her really difficult stuff in science, math, music, art, but writing. And she's like, oh man, if all we're doing is sitting and writing, this is worse than the class that she got out of, right? She got out of like a different academic class to do this. And I thought, let's give it one more week and see how it goes. But it is disappointing. So I think I am going to look for, it sounds crazy, but I think I am going to look for like a junior Mensa thing where she might be able to go find some kids who like to talk crazy about Pokemon because I can't do it. I do the best I can. I know about 200 of the characters by sight, seriously, but there's like thousands. I can't do it. I can't hold any more Pokemon in my head. I would love for her to meet some other real, you know, smart kids who have encyclopedic Pokemon minds so she could have these kinds of conversations that she is longing to have. She had them this past weekend when we went to the thing in Rochester, New York. For the one night, I drove like 6-7 hours each way, went up, stayed over, went to the Pokemon concert, and came back because things are busy. But she had a great time doing that, and I thought we just need to figure out how to do that more often. It is so hard to get your kid to position your kids to move them into the world and put them in the right place where they will be happy and have the best chance to succeed, right? Hi, ay, ay. Give him and Joss our love. I will. I definitely will. You never know. One of them might come to visit us. Teddy might even have his shirt buttoned. You never know. He might come down. So the Theodore Sizer, let me see if I have any more images for that chapter. Sorry about that. I always love to talk about them because they are my little sweethearts. They're not so little, I know. This is a rug that I saw in person, and I loved this rug. This is another really large rug. This is, hang on. Oh, there it is, number 60. Made 1954, was designed for the Yale Faculty Club. Then located in the historic Pierpont Foster Stokes house. Theodore Sizer's rug hooking teacher was Josephine Foster, who was born in that house. The Reverend Anson Phelps Stokes had recommended Theodore for his job at Yale. So, so he's got famous Yale people on the rug. He's used a lot of tweeds in this one. We looked at this one in person in the video. So if you're interested in these rugs and you're thinking, oh, I need more, you will see a video of me. There's stills, right, looking in excruciating detail at quite a few of these rugs. And then we did other live shows after I ordered the book, and they came in and we looked at some of the rugs in chronological order. Thanks, Gail. I really try. I don't always succeed. None of us always succeed, but I am rarely. You know what? I have to take it back. I was such a jerk yesterday that I had to cry about it. I did this thing that I don't even know why I did it. I picked Joss up from school, and I had my slippers on, right? Because I go back and forth 4 times, twice for Teddy, twice for Joss. And I had my slippers on, and she said, can I get some of the Taki chips? And I said, sure. We'll stop at the gas station. And I had cash in my bag. So I pulled up at the gas station, and I said, here's the cash. And she said, oh, I don't want to go in by myself. And I was like, well, I'm not going in. I'm basically wearing my pajamas and my slippers right now. I just came to pick you up. Here's the cash. You just go in. She wanted an energy drink and the Takis. And I said, just go in and get them. And she like froze with panic. And she's like, I don't want them anymore. And I was like, Jess, I drove all the way over here. Like, it's a detour. I'm now parked outside the store. I shouldn't raise my voice because she'll hear me. You're, 12, right? And you have the cash in your hand. And the reason the store is open is because they want you to go into the store and give them money, right? That's why the door is open. And I said, believe me, they want you to go in and buy stuff. And she was like, oh, I feel weird. And, they're going to think I'm a pig if I get 2 energy drinks because one was for Teddy. And I said, nobody thinks you're a pig for getting 2 of something. They haven't seen our car, right? You should see how many drinks and snack bags I have near me when I'm driving. But I made a big deal out of it. And she's like, do I have to go in? And I was like, yes, you have to go in. And then she went in and she was like walking like this. And I was like, as soon as she walked away, I like started crying. So I turned off the car and I went in with my slippers on and she had already checked out and I just felt like the worst. I was dragging myself around all night last night. I kept going into her bed and snuggling with her and saying, I'm so sorry that I did that. I don't know why I did that. I was embarrassed to go out in public with my slippers on because I don't like that. I don't like it when people are out with their pajamas on. And instead I made her do something that was like out of her comfort zone. Believe me, I think when you're 12, you should be able to go in a store and buy something. But for whatever reason at that moment, she didn't feel prepared to. And I shouldn't have made her because, like, who cares? What's worse, making her feel bad and sad and stressed, or some idiot I'll never see again seeing me in my slippers, right? These things, I know these things happen, but it did kind of ruin my night last night for sure. We always try to do our best, yeah, to encourage them. That's all you can do, right? Stay present, stay with them. It's the kids who nobody's looking at or paying attention to, who fall between the cracks and have like disastrous lives and do disastrous things, right? Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Well, I will never do that again. And starting today, I don't drive over to pick them up with my slippers on, right? Because that's also just not good policy if the car broke down or something. I'm telling you, I can be a real jerk. All right, so a few more photographs in this article that are just so pretty and worth seeing. This is Theodore with his teacher, Josephine Foster. She's the one who taught him how to hook rugs in 1949. And she's look at the sweet smile on her face. Let me stretch that out. She looks like, old school, right? She looks old school, like this could be like Scary Mary Poppins, but she's not. Look at that nice, it's not really coming across, but I hope you can see she is actually smiling. I can see in the photo she is smiling. And he did this rug 5 years later, this massive rug, so gorgeously done. She's obviously proud of him. Looks like she's standing on another one of his rugs. How awesome. What a fantastic moment in time, right? Now, let's see, do I have, no, that was the Beatles. So I'm going to come back here to our buddy Yvonne. If you are a member of Tigger, and I hope you are, man, things are falling into place fast with the whole Tigger party in Halloween week of 2027 next year. Oh my God. But on Tigger, maybe 3 weeks ago or something, I interviewed Yvonne, Yvonne Eiten-Scott, who is the former president of Tigger, right? So she is the Canadian president, and then they had the party in Niagara Falls. And now I am the president of Tigger. But I interviewed her, and we were talking about her resident, what do you call them? Come on, what's wrong with me? When you go somewhere to study, not sabbatical, but when you go somewhere to study and residencies, there we go. I knew I had part of the word there. She did 2 residencies last year, one in the UK and one in, somewhere in Scandinavia, but the video was beautiful. She walked us through this amazing slideshow. And while she was there, I mean, she's a great and well-known rug hooker, but while she was there, she tried a lot of other fiber arts, like everything. So here she is learning to silk screen, right? And she also silk screened the same design. And this looks like that beetle as well, doesn't it? Wait a minute. Is this the beetle? Is this the beetle? This is the stag beetle. Undoubtedly, this is the stag beetle. Hang on. All right, look at the beetle. Like, look at the little beetle in that print, right? Now tell me that is not. I'm never going to find him again, am I? That's him. That's absolutely him. Drink him in. Right, and let's come back over here. That's him for sure. That's a stag beetle. I've never heard of a stag beetle before tonight, and now I've seen many in this one issue. Crazy. Anyway, she talks in this article about, let me see if I've got more than one. I do have more than one. About residencies and adventures, and she loves talking about people can do these things. And I know it sounds like, wow, you can do these things if you're Midas, but some of them are not that expensive. And I mean, all of them are a bit expensive, right? Because you have to take into account travel, and then you probably want to eat while you're there and stuff. Obviously, the one in Scandinavia more, just because the exchange is horribly not in our favor. But so interesting. It's so interesting to do. Let me just show you. I'll mention this before I turn the page. This is another 8-page article. I do like the 8-page article. She's doing. This is a 6-foot long piece that includes hundreds of 1-inch pieces of wool fabric. She's using wool soluble stabilizer to secure the wool, and then she stitches a grid over it. So there, if you can see right behind it, that's water soluble. She will adhere this. She will use this water soluble. Let me just show you. Right, she's got the material, the water soluble material, and she's going over all the squares, holding them in place with the sewing machine. Right, got to make sure you got to catch them all, Pokemon. And then when she rinses it with water, that medium comes off, and it's just the thing. So cool, right? So she talks about that, and she just pages like this in this article where she's showing you other stuff that she's doing, quilly, 3-dimensional stuff. Like, I mean, it's really interesting. She's learning all kinds of stuff. She's always learning. In fact, I think that is the name of the article. Always learning, always growing. My lifelong commitment. Text and photography by Yvonne Eiten-Scott. She is lovely. She is so lovely. And she is the eternal student, right? She loves learning new things and meeting other people and being inspired by people around her, other people doing these residencies, seeing what their passions are. She loves that crossover of inspiration. So I haven't had time to read any of these articles yet, but I know that this is going to be a good one because she's also a wonderful writer. Oh, it's a little bit longer even. She's doing some textile stuff at the end where she's making some clothing. Very nice. Now the next we might finish a little bit early today. Yeah, we'll see. The next article is the book excerpt feature, and it's called Why Hook Small Rugs? Text and photography by Molly Colgrove. And I'll tell you, these rugs, Molly's stuff is so good. Oh, snippety snappities. Wait a minute. I missed something. This excerpt is taken from my new rug hooking magazine book, Hooking Minis. Tiny projects to hook on the go. I'm going to order that tonight. That is bonkers. Let me show that to you real small right here. I'm going to order that tonight. Hopefully I can get it to come soon. And we will look at that as soon as possible. That looks fantastic. Wow. One of the great things about minis is you can put them into regular picture frames, right? So I'm going to show you some of these images, but she says, why hook small? Why hook small size rugs? I do it for a multitude of reasons. I think the main reason is that I have so many more ideas that I could ever possibly finish. If I were to make them all into full-size rugs, it just wouldn't happen, right? I have ideas just piling up around me. I try to keep track of them by sketching them out or taking pictures and filling up an idea book. Unless I somehow record my ideas, they just rattle around in my brain, taking up space and distracting me from whatever I happen to be working on at the moment. That is so true. I bet you can relate to that too. Another reason is that I like smaller rugs is that if I have an idea for a project that I'm not completely sure is going to work, I can try it out smaller scale and see if I like it. I like to experiment with a lot of different techniques and media. Some work well with hooked rugs, others not so much. Trying a new technique with a small rug is a better use of time for me. See, interesting. Everybody works differently because I feel like I know a lot of people make prototypes, but I feel like to me, I know I couldn't. We all have different practices and ways of approaching, right? So it's so interesting to know that for her, she sees some of these as samples. For me, time is a huge problem. So I would rather do like I did with the red sweater with the Love Your Neighbors, and hook it and undo it. But I have to say, these little rugs, cute as a button. Let's look at. I have a couple of them for you in this slideshow. And I won't show all, but I'll show you a couple. Oh, wait a minute. We got to go by this because everything is in the wrong order. Wow. Let's see. Okay. This one I wanted to show you first. This is, let's see. Oh, this is this is 6.5 by 6, various yarns and threads on linen, designed and hooked by Molly herself, Molly Colgrove of Newark, New York, 2024. This work has a lot of subtle changes that require a lot of colors. God, this is gorgeous. I mean, this is really like an impressionist still life, isn't it? The amount of little color blips and splotches in here, it's remarkable. Not just in the flowers, but in the background, right? Look at the table. It is so colorful, so compelling. It's absolutely beautiful. Look at the vase, all the colors. Now, this is some really soft, fluffy yarn. This looks like some of the like novelty yarns, like a little bit of a roving feel. Really unusual. Some of it's very high luster, right? I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous. I just love it. And I had, nope. Oops. Oh, no, don't you delete. Wait a minute. And I had this guy. I mean, this guy, come on. Absolutely gorgeous. This is Jacob Sheep, 6-inch square. Various yarns and threads on linen, designed and hooked by Molly. This is one of my first completely hooked mini pieces Molly made. Isn't this absolutely gorgeous? Look at the luster of this. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Let's see how it works, because of course this is a photo of a magazine. Right, so it might not work super well, but you can see very high luster threads in there. Look at the amount of color. The color isn't coming up good on my monitor, but the amount of blue in the background, greens like olive greens, avocado greens, in the neck of the sheep, right under the little necklace or band, lots of gold, pewter, rose, apricot, so many colors. It's just so beautiful. It's hard to believe that these are like 6-inch squares. They are remarkably pretty, very well executed, very exciting to look at. This is a very different piece. Hold on. So this is Winnie. This is 6.5 inches by 8.5 inches, still quite small. Various yarns and threads on linen, designed and hooked and embroidered by Molly, 2022. Molly created the small rug depicting her granddaughter using a photo Winnie sent her on school picture day. It is hooked and embroidered with a hand-painted linen background. The nerd on picture day. Be who you are. I just love it. So the skin tone is hooked. Everything else looks stitched to me. And it is the hand-painted background. So she has kind of crumpled up the background, dyed it. She's folded it in some way to get those lines running through it, kind of like tie-dye, but less sort of pattern-oriented. Irregular. It's more irregular. So another beautiful piece of her granddaughter, and another relatively small piece. She also shows us in this article what I think is a really good idea. As I sit down here, buried alive by my supplies, I mean, she's got 2 pages of photos that show you frames and embroidery, flosses, and threads that she would have gotten at needlepoint stores, little stuff, right? Little stuff. She's hooking with little stuff. She's not necessarily hooking with supplies that we would use. I'm seeing lots of stuff from needlepoint stores, and I'm seeing a lot of sock yarn, right? Because this is little scale, and she's getting a lot of detail. So this is all little scale. But you know what's great? Well, just to conclude this thought, she's got these file cabinets. I have so many file cabinets, and she's just putting stuff by color in the file cabinet. Like, that's a very good idea. I like that very much. Let me see if I have any more. Nope, that's our next one. But you know, one of the great things, if you're interested in hooking small scale like this and you're thinking, I really need a lot of colors, what kind of what does that investment look like? How much is that going to cost, right? If I need like 30 greens and 30, the thing about the embroidery store, because I've done a lot of videos at the big embroidery store near me, which is called Thistle Needleworks. on the Silestine Highway in Wethersfield. Yeah, Wethersfield, Connecticut. My buddy Judy owns that store with our daughter. I love that store, and we've done videos there. And one of the things about that store or any needlepoint store is that the quantities are a lot less. You get a tiny little hank. It looks like it belongs in a dollhouse for like $2 or $3, maybe less, right? Some of them are more because of the material or there's gold in them or something else is going on. But there, and I'm not talking about DMC. I'm talking about little wools and little nubby fabrics, and there's it's endless at a needlepoint store. It's endless, and you can pick up if you're going to work small like that. You just need a little tiny hank with, you know, five 5 yards, if that, right? If you're only using a little bit of that color and you've got lots more, it is another investment. But if you are thinking about starting working smaller scale, I would say instead of looking at rug, unless you've got tons of stuff and you're happy to cut to like number 3 strips, right? And if that's the case, great. But if you're thinking of getting the kind of detail that Molly gets, you might need to and want to look at sock yarns and embroidery threads for hooking with. You can always double them up or quadruple them up, but they are tiny, and they in themselves are, get 20 of them to get started, right? And then see how it goes and maybe fill it in by cutting some of your existing strips in half with scissors and see how you make out. It's just another dimension, right? It's another world. It's another trick for your bag of tricks, another opportunity. And if that sort of resonates with you, the idea of, oh, well, it would be nice to do stuff smaller because you get it done faster, right? And you have so many ideas brewing. Maybe you want to do stuff smaller because you like to put stuff in frames, right? And there's lots of frames at the store you'd like to pick up and pop some finished pieces in there. Great, right? Lots of reasons why you might want to try that. Maybe you want to make some gifts, and it makes more sense to give people some framed pieces than rugs, right? Um, yeah. So, and then at the end of this article, she shows us some of her sketchbooks, which are loaded with photographs that she's taken or cut out of magazines and sketches. Sorry. I'm so sorry. 4:30 is early, right? I mean, even for a crazy person, that's early. Lots of sketches. She shares a lot about her process, which is exciting and generous. How high is the pile on the 6x6 rugs? Well, you know what? That's very hard to say, but I'm just going to look at it really closely. I will say, I mean, I'm very bad with measures, and I'm looking to see if there's I would say, okay, so what I'm looking at is something that reminds me of mini punch and doing mini punch with, for example, sock yarn. So let's stick with sock yarn. I would say when I do mini punch with sock yarn, it is about, the pile is, I would say, 1/8 of an inch high, maybe a hair higher, but it's that kind of low. Now, that's punch, that's mini punch. With rug hooking, I feel like it has to be, particularly in linen, right? Because linen has no stretch. And I mean, it stretches only because it's pliable, only because it's a very open weave. It's a very loose weave. Um, it's not a tight one, right? So you can't get a lot of tiny pieces in there low and hope that they won't come out again. And she's not saying anything about gluing the back or anything. So I would say maybe 2/8 of an inch if you're going to do something that small. If you're working in linen, I think if you made the jump to rug warp, which is thicker and much tighter, even much tighter than monk's cloth, I would say if you're using rug warp, you could go probably 1/8 of an inch, like you were doing punching, because it would just hold it better. Every hole would hold better because it's so much tighter. It's that kind of height, not high at all, right? Looks very low pile to me. I might be wrong, but it looks very low pile. And of course, it's not an even pile because she's using a mixture of materials. So it's fun to know that because, it's something to consider. If you're considering working in this style and you are a perfectionist sort of shader, and that's your jam and that's what you like, working in this style with lots of different colors and lots of different weights and textures of yarns and threads might not appeal to your inner perfectionist. It's something to consider. Because working in this style, right, bringing in all of these little bits and bobs of different materials, it is going to come out way more sort of boho looking than something that's very technical, right? Came out way more impressionist style than it did like a realist piece. So something else to consider if you're thinking you might give it a shot. This next article is on Kanga says, imagining a beautiful gallery wall display. Yeah, that's a great crossover thing to galleries because not every gallery is interested in taking rugs or hanging rugs, partly because they're just big, right? They're just big. A lot of galleries, like, particularly if the stuff is for sale, they like to show lots of, lots of little stuff, right? More little stuff, more possibilities of selling stuff. So I think it's an easier sell if you want to bust into the gallery scene. I think it's an easier sell working on smaller pieces. I'm sure there are exceptions, but when I see fiber art out in the wild in galleries, it tends to be small scale. I rarely see things that are large textiles, right? It happens, but it's much rarer. Yeah, so this little bag is a great project as well. This is a scrappy tote by Una Walker. This is your sign to clean out your studio. So cleaning is not one of my superpowers, so when January rolls around, I know it's time to clean and organize my studio. I moved to Oregon about 6 years ago, yet until recently, I still had three, okay, maybe 4 or 5 large boxes of fabric that had yet to be used, yet to be released into the wilds of my workspace. The arduous task of sorting it all by color only took 2 days. That is quite good, actually. Along with the fabric, I have accumulated many smaller pieces of monk's cloth, linen. Yep, this is a good point. Like, really, do you keep little pieces of backing fabric? I mean, I do. I keep really small pieces. If they fit on my 10 by 10 frame, I keep them. Anything smaller than 10 by 10, actually, that's not true. I have kept some long strips with the intention of making Christmas ornaments. So, yeah, this is a good scrappy project, in other words. She's talking about having backing fabric, right? Where you can see she's going to, I think, punch. You could hook, but it's, yep, she's done this with a number 10 Oxford punch needle. She's punched the flower with Oxford yarn onto the backing. She's left the backing visible, and then she used scrap bits of fabric to kind of patch and sewn them on, probably with a sewing machine, and pieced around it to make a tote. So she has made a perfect marriage between her quilt fabric pieces and her leftover scrappy little pieces of monk's cloth and linen and burlap. And she's done some beautiful stuff. Look at this example. There's several examples in here. It's not just the one image. Look at this one. It looks like there's some Kaffe facet fabrics in there. Right, so she's just piecing together the fabrics like she would piece together a quilt, but with a nice image in the middle, a nice punched image in the middle. So she shows you how to do that, and there is there's multiple patterns for flower shapes that you could put in the middle. So that's a project that's waiting for you as well. Jeweled Snowflake is another beautiful one, same but different. The feature same but different, and this is by Lisanne Miller. So she is up there at Cushing, right? She's up in Maine at Cushing. Jeweled Snowflake, like real snowflakes, each one is unique. So this is a snowflake pattern that inspires creativity. I won't read the whole. Okay, the pattern is here for you. This is a free pattern in the book. She talks about how each person hooks it differently and gives you examples of that. I won't show you the whole article, but let me see. Sorry, let me see if I put it here. If not, I'll hold it up. Oh, I put 2 of them. There's more than 2 in the article, but just showing you how 2 of the same pattern can be strikingly different, right? So that pattern is in here for you as well. And, you know, and she tells about each person who has done one of these snowflakes. They're all, it says who did them, and some of them are used for something other than like a chair pad. I'm just wondering what my last... Oh, right. There's one more feature. Okay, on the very last page, first rug on the last page by our buddy Amzi Collins. He loves me. Text and photography by Amzi. This was my first rug hooking project. My mother, Ruby Turnbull, was a McGowan teacher who had started hooking in the 1970s, obtaining her certification via correspondence classes with Pearl McGowan. In 1983, she taught a leisure learning class at our local university. She made me attend, although I had no idea what I was getting into. I was a single mom and not working yet. Having watched my mother hook many rugs, I was able to pick up rug hooking relatively quickly. She and my father, who also hooked rugs, worked with number 3 cut wool in the Pearl McGowan style. So that's what I learned. She also held classes in her home that I attended weekly as my schedule allowed. I enjoyed the camaraderie I found with the older women who were there and encouraged me to keep hooking. He Loves Me was a fun pattern to hook. I ended up making another one for my sister. After hooking it, I sewed lace around the outside. Oh, isn't that pretty? I sewed lace around the outside and covered the back with the same wool I used to hook the pillow. Oh, wow. I also added a label to the back. After I was able to start working, I kept up hooking. On weekends, I gave demonstrations around town. I can't say I actually got many students that way, but some people were curious and I had fun. I won't read the whole article, but this last page, the first rug, is always a um, personal story, and it does say on the last, and so charming for it. On the last page, it always says, share the story of your first rug. So you are welcome to share with Caitlin Danko. The address is there on the last page if you want to send in the story of your first rug. And yeah, so that's there for you if you think, oh, I do have a first rug story. Not to be competitive and awful, but we're always looking for content for Magpie Times Magazine as well. We're always looking for content because we always have way more than 80 pages and we don't have any ads in it. It's all content. We always need content. So be thinking of anything that you might contribute. Of course, Rug Hooking Magazine and At the Magazine also always have shout outs. It's important to keep all of them alive and well so we have plenty to look at. It is a beautiful issue. And again, 80 pages. Covers the features that you saw and lots that you did not see. All of it is in there. I've deconstructed backing fabric scrap pieces and hooked with the scrappy threads lengths. Magpie power. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll tell you, one of my biggest problems with, I'm trying to get my legs out from under this thing. I'm like a contortionist here in this weird chair. One of my things about going through all of this stuff I've got over here, which is it's walls and walls of bins, right? If you remember the old place, it's like that, but it's now in the new house. It's so hard to go through it because, and I know you know the story. I'm preaching to the choir for sure, but first of all, because I packed in a terrible hurry as usual, right? Shame on me. I didn't plan forward, and I was like an animal while I was packing. And so there are boxes that have like mixed stuff and I need to separate them. Like there's dozens, more than dozens of those. There's a lot of those. So I know that that's waiting for me. And I also know that there's going to be boxes with materials that I forgot about, like skirts, like rag balls, like sweater material. Obviously, tons of crazy threads from absolutely everywhere. I have bags of paisley. Um, Tons of t-shirt material. I mean, it's just it's crazy over there, and it is a bit overwhelming, which is not a good reason to not go over there. I should go over there, but the amount of variety that's there, and the thing is, I know that I want to get rid of a lot of it because I feel overwhelmed, and that's not good for me, right? Because I have a tendency to be unbalanced, and things like that set me right off. But yeah, but at the same time, I live in scarcity mode. That's where I live, and I hate that about myself. But I know for certain that if I, for example, throw a bunch of somethings out, rag balls, right? Because I've had them for 10 years and I've never done anything with them, or sari ribbon or something, not throw it out, but donate it, right? I know, because I know myself, that literally the next day, that's going to be the only thing I want, and then I'm going to be on Etsy looking for something similar. It happens every time I go through my stuff. I cannot seem to cull this insanity and make sense of it. But I also don't trust myself to throw stuff out because of the craft that we do. I feel like, yeah, I mean, if I live to be 200, right? I would love that. Life is good. I would love that. Then I might have time to do all the projects that are in my head, and I might have time to use all these supplies. But the reality is, I will keep shopping for supplies too. And yeah, I don't know. What I really need is for a really bad mood to strike, because when I'm in a really bad mood, I am ruthless. I am really, somebody needs to set me right off, and I will come down here and put my big girl pants on, and I will be able to get rid of a bunch of stuff. Just drive it and leave it, so I can't second guess myself. But I'll have to wait for that rainy day, that really bad mood. That reminds me, I just put on my calendar before the show, my buddy Haley, right? Haley Perry of Loop by Loop. She just planned a hook in Rhode Island, and that will be coming up. So you can put it on your calendar too. That's coming up May 23rd. So if you are anywhere near Rhode Island, May 23rd, I will be there for sure. I'll probably bring some books. Maybe I'll bring, it depends on what we're doing at that point. That's so far away. But, Mom, hopefully we're not planning to go to Cape Cod that early. We usually go a little bit later. Um, Gosh, otherwise I will have to amend that statement. But yeah, we'll have to see. Now I'm worried because maybe Mom, I'm gonna have to check with you. In any case, Haley's having something. I probably will be there. We'll have to see how it goes. Certainly Naomi will be there too, and probably Deborah Walland of Seaside, right? Because she's in Rhode Island as well. And I've done a video with her as well too. That's another one you can look up. So that's coming up on May 23rd. I also noticed that the Cranberry Hookers, who have a rug show biannually in Harwich on Cape Cod, Massachusetts, that's coming up on May 2nd. And I will certainly go to that. We definitely won't be there yet, but I'll go up for the day, or maybe for the weekend, particularly if it's good weather already on the Cape. I'll definitely go up there for that. Cheryl, let me know if you want to go to that. It'll be in the same place, I think, as 2 years ago. But that's coming up. Also coming up, things I've put on my calendar recently. The weekend of the 23rd and 24th that is Memorial Day weekend. That is the Massachusetts Sheep and Wool Festival weekend as well. So that's something to think about. And I'm seeing Matilda at the Bushnell Theater. That doesn't matter for you, but that will be fun for the kids to see. Colonoscopy. That's not for you either. So I guess that's all I have on the calendar in the near future for us. So, needless to say, if you have dates coming up near you, if there's stuff happening, please let me know so I can share it here on the show, and also on the Facebook group, right? And if you're not on Facebook, still send it to me so I can share it there on Facebook, and other people can see that there are festivals, fairs, rug shows, classes, everything coming up. That stuff is all good to share. On the Facebook page, you know it is the Ribbon Candy Hooking brand page, but I don't like it when people post things like, here's my new design, buy it, because I feel that's super disrespectful, and I don't do that on other people's brand pages. So I always give that the kibosh when I see it. But things that are like events that we could all go to, or things that are happening, or teachers coming, those are event things, right? Those are things that I want to share and I want everyone to know. You are always very welcome to post that stuff on the page. Things that we might all want to do, me included. It's just when you say, oh, you should buy this at that person's store, as opposed to like Ribbon Candy Hooking, and here's all the information. Those are the ones that get me. See, if one of those happens over the weekend, which it always does, I should come right down here and start weeding through these boxes, because it puts me in that kind of a mood, 0 to 100, just like that. I'm always very nice with the way I deal with people, though, because honestly, with the exception of one person I can think of who does it all the time, and I really just need to block the person, although I know who she is and I feel bad blocking her, but she just will not listen on the subject. Otherwise, I think it's mostly new people who do it, and I always send a very nice message that says, this is so helpful and you're being super helpful, but this is a brand page. Anything that has to do with things that are coming up, please post those. It's not the same, right? So, alrighty, I'm going to hit it. We're a few minutes early. I know you're like, is she even going to make it back upstairs before she falls asleep? Does she have narcolepsy? What is going on? No, it's just lack of sleep last night, and then hosting the group at my church today in the afternoon. Not that it was much, like not that it took a lot out of me, but just driving back and forth and sitting for a while just made me tired again. Just what is going on? I guess I'm getting old. Alrighty, I'm going to go back upstairs and sit for a little while, see if Jossie wants to watch Pokemon. Nobody came to visit us tonight. Boo. I'm going to work on Love Your Neighbors a little bit more. And I'll see how much more I can get of that outline. Good luck this weekend, everybody who's expecting tough weather. Happy long weekend if you are enjoying a long weekend. Happy Martin Luther King Day Monday. Um, I, again, right? My schedule keeps getting whatever. I'm going to have to think about what day works. I'll probably run a show on Wednesday next week. Yeah, I'll probably run a show on Wednesday. I'll see how it goes over the weekend. If the kids want me to do something on Monday, I want to be able to do it. And then I would move the weekday show. I know I didn't move it this week, but that's because I hung the show and I was burnt out. I would like to run a weekday show next week, but it might fall either um, right before Kirsten on Tuesday or Wednesday. Let's see. If the kids don't want me at all, then I'll be with you on Monday. But if they do want me, I would like to do whatever, movies or whatever. So in the meantime, be looking out for that. I will communicate what my plan is. And yeah, have a happy weekend to you all too. Thank you for joining me tonight. And yeah, Rug Cooking Magazine. Good for them. They are killing it. I mean, these are nice looking issues. And they, as opposed to not that long ago, I was not as enthusiastic about the way that the issues were coming out. It's changed again. And we're not seeing articles that are 30 pages in an 80-page magazine and another 20 pages being ads. We're seeing a lot of different ads, and they all have great value, and they're very varied. They're very diverse in technique and style. Yeah, great job. And Sharon, you're going to go work on Farewell Sir Spruce. All of the first kits sold. The pattern will always be available as a PDF download. That's the January pattern, Farewell Sir Spruce. I have the second one done. Where is it? You know what? Let me give you a little sneak preview. I'll give you a little sneak preview because I'm going to work on that next. Hold on. I'll give you a little sneaky peeky. This is a sketch, so it's not perfect. Yep. Here we go. I'm working out the colors. I'm working out what the Crazy Eights will be. Oh, this is something that I meant to say to you all about those kits, right? Because it's like there's a limited set that I do because I am still a one-person company here, and I really can't afford to keep tons of textured fabric in stock as well as other colors that I normally sell. I just can't afford to keep everything in stock. So there has to be a limited run on stuff. And hopefully, things get bigger and I can do that stuff in the future. But for right now, I have to be practical about what I do. So it's the kits for the first one, which was Farewell Sir Spruce. Those sold out pretty quickly. If you're someone who bought one of the first kits and you're thinking, my intention is to get all 12, please send me a message because I've already gotten some of these messages. I started a list on my phone where I can't lose it for people who want to know when the next kit is about to come out. And because this is like a monthly thing, there should be kits for everybody who at first blush wants them, but I will give priority to people who have been buying the kits all along. Because while I don't have the brains to do a subscription and I don't know how to do that on my own website, I will contact those people first because I appreciate the loyalty. And if you plan to get all 12, I want to be sure that you can. If you missed the kit, there are videos of me making this thing. And if you can get similar fabrics or you have similar fabrics or you can just substitute a few colors, you're still going to get the same beautiful piece, right? This is the next one that's coming up. She is on a sled this time. And it's a sort of, there's Valentine's in the sky. And here's Laundry and Lint Ball running along with the sled. This is the other half of the house, right? Because remember, they connect. It'll be 4, 4, 4. No, I'm sorry. It'll be 12 months in the year, 4 seasons. It'll be 3, 3, 3, 3. And they'll connect that way. So this actually connects to the one in January. So you'll be able to connect across the 3 winter images. And this is the last snow image. March won't be a snow image. So the 3 winter images, and then the row below will be the 3 summer images, spring, summer, and then fall. And you can put them in whatever order you want, but there will be 3 patterns for each. There's 12. So yeah, so remember to send me a message if you got the first one and you are hell-bent on doing all of them. Because also, if there's a lot of people who do plan on doing all of them, then I will just initially dye more sets and buy more of the textureds, because all of these kits in this series for the year, the monthly kits, because I have not done kits for a while. Like I have not done monthly kits for a few years. So I'm glad that they're popular. The reason I stopped was because people weren't buying them, and I sank a lot of money into making them, and then they weren't selling. So COVID really threw us for a loop, right? A few years back. So yeah, so let me know, because if there is a huge demand, then I will just initially get more. If I feel like I will be able to move them and I just won't, I have to pay the bill to door and then I'm sitting on them and I can't make the money back, is scary for me with a small business. So let me know if that is your intention, and I will start hooking that soon. It looks very cutesy, but she's not going to be super cutesy. She's more primitive. If you remember the first one, which I think is upstairs, actually it's right there, but I'll log off. Um, it's more primitive than it is cutesy. It is the Months at Mousehole Farm, and it is a mouse is the main character, and this is and she's got a different winter jacket on in this one, and she's always got her two dogs with her, and they're very primitive. They're not like cutesy cutesy. So anyway, I'll finish this and I'll get working on that, and yeah, let me know if you want to do something for one of the book projects or Magpie, or you had other thoughts. Let me know, and I will let you know which day this week I'm going to come back for a live show. In the meantime, happy weekend, everybody. It's great spending time together.